Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, the leader of the People's Action Movement, one of the three political parties comprising the Team Unity government, said PAM and CCM have informed the Governor-General of their withdrawal of support for Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris and want him removed from office. According to Sean Richards in his 21st April statement, PAM and CCM have tried to work out the internal problems with the Prime Minister over the years, but without success. Richards has expressed the view that the situation cannot continue as the Prime Minister is no longer committed to Team Unity.
Dr. Harris extended a closed fist of deception, delay, and mistrust. Therefore, we have been left with no alternative but to take decisive action. Given that he has refused to resolve, he left us with no alternative but to dissolve. We have acted in the interest of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Therefore, today, 21st April 2022, 6 of 9 government MPs have decided to act to preserve the gains of the last 6 years and to build on this foundation we have laid. It is in this context that these 6 MPs informed His Excellency the Governor-General, Sir Tapley Seaton, via letter that we have decided to choose a trusting, solid unity rather than coercion and confusion. We informed His Excellency that we no longer support nor do we have any confidence in Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris. As a consequence, the 6 MPs also informed the Governor-General that we repose our full trust and confidence in the Honorable Sean Richards to serve as Prime Minister of our country. Indeed, we, the majority, chose to be the conscience of this nation. We try to avoid the arrival of this position, but the Prime Minister has consistently in recent times failed to live by the high ideals required for national leadership, failed to engage his team members in important decisions of government, and he has reneged on his pledges and his agreements.
The Concerned Citizens Movement, headed by News' Premier Mark Brantley, has also joined with PAM in a joint letter to the Governor-General. Glenn Batt reporting for SKN Newsline.
Leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, Dr. Terence Drew, said the party is concerned and disappointed at the latest political developments in the country. The party leader hinted to political tensions that he said has led to great anxiety in the country.
The long-standing political wrangling between the warring fractions of the Team Unity construct has been exposed, laid bare, and put on display for all to see. The present tensions in the political sphere has spilled over into the public square and has led to heightened anxiety, anger, and uncertainty that have brought our great federation to a tipping point that, if not arrested soon, will completely destabilize our country.
Dr. Drew suggested that the efforts by the members of Parliament from the People's Action Movement and the Concerned Citizens Movement to remove support for the Prime Minister and offer that support to Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards is spurious and is not in accordance with the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The mere suggestion that the process of the removal of the Prime Minister can be triggered simply by a letter from the majority of elected members stating that they do not or no longer support the Prime Minister is spurious at best and at worst utterly mischievous and intentionally misleading. The closest scenario to the present situation that is entertained in the Constitution is laid out in subsection 7 of section 52, which allows for the removal of the Prime Minister if and only if it happens before the first sitting of Parliament after the appointment arising from a general election. It has also almost been 2 years since the last general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. Therefore, the opportunity for such action to be taken has been long past.
Dr. Drew believes the only real solution to the latest political developments is dissolve Parliament and call fresh elections.
This is laid out in section 6 of section 52 of the Constitution that dictates that there must first be the passage of a resolution of no confidence in the government passed by the National Assembly. But even after such a resolution, the Constitution states that the Governor General can only remove the Prime Minister if he fails to either resign within 3 days or advise the Governor General to dissolve Parliament. Therefore, there is only one avenue through which the dissident factions within the Unity Coalition can resolve the present situation. Too much damage has already been done since all ministers, including the Prime Minister, have openly spoken of the lack of equity and purpose in Team Unity and have hurled accusations and counter-accusations at each other of gross incompetence, corruption, and greed. There is no turning back from here. The only way to resolve the present situation is to have fresh elections.
Dr. Drew's statement comes in light of political developments in the country, where 6 members of parliament from the Concerned Citizens Movement and the People's Action Movement, who form part of the tripartite Team Unity coalition, are calling for the removal of Dr. Harris as Prime Minister and for Sean Richards to become the next Prime Minister. Prime Minister Harris, in response, has instead called for calm among the political players during the 10 days of mourning at the passing of the late Ambassador Vance Amory, who died on April 2nd. It is yet to be seen what will transpire in the next few days. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
On a recent program of On the Mark, Nevis's Premier Mark Brantley lamented over the failure of one of his coalition partners to live up to the Charleston Accord. Brantley was referring to a signed document giving life to the three-party coalition called Team Unity, involving the People's Action Movement, the Concerned Citizens Movement, and the People's Labour Party. Both PAM and CCM have pointed fingers at Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, leader of PLP. They claim he has refused to address critical concerns of the coalition members over his leadership and his refusal to correct the treatment of Nevis in relation to the revenue that should be allocated to Nevis from the Citizenship by Investment program. On this matter, Brantley expressed his most recent views on the issue.
That after we campaigned so hard against what was in relation to CBI, billions pouring into the country and the people of Nevis being left out, that we are now part of a government and that same issue is still arising, and that the response from some in some quarters is to say to the people of Nevis, hush your mouth, because now you're getting a little something where you're ball for. You never used to get nothing before. So if you never used to get nothing before, you now get some crumbs. Hush your mouth, you're ungrateful. And what eats out my Nevision heart is that there are Nevisians in Nevis who are supporting that type of rhetoric, who are saying To those of us who are saying, standing up and saying that this is wrong, their response is, hush your mouth. Look how much you get. And then to add insult to injury, they say to the government of Nevis, you must account for the crumbs that you have got, and say how it is that those crumbs have been consumed. But the lion's share that is in bank accounts in Bastia, there's no accounting for that. Because according to some right here in Nevis, that is how it ought to be. No, the people voted for what was promised to us and what we in turn promised to them. It's a fairly simple thing. And you know, a lot of things in this world can go a lot better if people learned to keep their promise. Their promises to each other, their promises to the people.
The internal team unity political spat has resulted in the withdrawal of CCM and PAM support for the PLP leader, Prime Minister Harris. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
More than 80 enumerators began conducting the Population and Housing Census 2021 on Nevis on April 19th, 1 month after the census with It's Me, You, Us 2021 Be Counted was launched in St. Kitts and Nevis. Mrs. Dorielle Tross-Phillip, Director of the Department of Statistics in the Nevis Island Administration, told the Department of Information that the delay, which was experienced throughout the Federation, was unforeseen.
Yesterday, Tuesday, the 19th of April, was the official start of our enumerators in the field, doing the field activities for the census. This include the questionnaires being answered by you, the general public, and the taking of the GPS for each residence. The census should have started, the field activities should have started on March 25th, but due to technical difficulties with the questionnaire, we started yesterday on the 19th.
The Department of Statistics encouraged persons to participate and cooperate with the enumerators.
Due to the increase in the housing stock, our enumeration district, that where each parish is broken down into enumeration district of 100 households or less, and due to the growth, we have had to split these enumeration district to more than we had in 2011. Thus, the need for 88 enumerators that are out and about in the 5 parishes on Nevis. So when they come to your households, please be accommodating. Please answer all the questions truthfully and to help the enumerators to complete the questionnaire in a timely manner. The government gathers information on social, economic, and all other aspects of the lives of the citizens so that they can make concise decisions and ways to assist not just household but communities on a whole. You know, that's where we get whether we want new schools, roads, health centers, community parks, whatever it is, the government has to get the information. And so you provide us with the truthful data, and we in turn analyze the data and pass the results over to those that are in charge.
Census happens every 10 years and is driven by the Caribbean community, CARICOM. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Stay abreast with news on St. Martin with SMN News. Visit www.smn-news.com for up-to-date news, scoops, opinions, and hard-hitting facts. SMN News, we tell it like it is. Visit our website www.smn-news.com.
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
It's one of the mandatory COVID-19 protocols wearing a face mask designed to limit the deadly virus transmission. While the country's mask mandate may soon be no more as the Bahamas moves to remain in compliance with other countries and as they loosen COVID-19 restrictions. Cleopatra Murphy leads us off tonight on what the Minister of Tourism has to say on the matter.
The removal of the country's COVID-19 mask mandate was among issues up for discussion at Tuesday's cabinet meeting. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable Chester Cooper, assures health officials are monitoring the situation as COVID-19 infections in the country remain low.
The mask mandate has always been a point of discussion. We've discussed it before. The Ministry of Health is looking at it closely, and we are going to be monitoring it. That's all I can say at this point. It is up for discussion, and we'll make formal announcements in due course once decisions are made.
The consideration's been going on for some time, particularly as a USA federal court judge struck down the Centers for Disease Control's mask mandate for public transportation, including planes, that had been extended to May 3rd. When it comes to tourism, Cooper says there is a significant amount of COVID-19 fatigue, and people, particularly tourists from our main markets, are tired of wearing masks, but officials will not make any decision lightly. He, however, says the Bahamas is consistently examining its COVID-19 protocols as they are loosened globally.
Where we go next will be determined really by the balance that we've been trying to strike all along between the economy and tourism and public health and safety. I anticipate over the course of the next several weeks, you will consistently see a reduction of the protocols, and this is going to be very positive for tourism. It's going to be easier for persons to move about and go about their normal way of living. And I think, by and large, tourists in our source markets, particularly the United States, are ready to move on.
Hotel properties have long lobbied for the removal of the mask mandate. Cooper says the properties are generally also fatigued by the protocols and are largely influenced by their guests. He, however, says government has a larger responsibility.
The customers are saying enough, and most of them are coming from the States. And generally speaking, they want to see the back of all of the protocols, quite frankly. The elimination of masks, making it easier to travel. They have gone as far as recommending no testing at the border. But again, we have an interest and an obligation to the Bahamian people and the stakeholders and therefore we are going to strike a balance. We're going to do what's best for the industry and best for the people.
As for the eventual elimination of the Bahamas travel health visa that is useful for contact tracing, the Minister of Tourism confirms once it is no longer needed, it will be removed. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Hungry and looking for something so satisfying? Something to truly tantalize your taste buds? Then make it Charlie's, the home of the #1 cheesesteak in the world. Also serving up a variety of delicious wings, freshly cooked to order under 10 minutes. With 2 locations to serve you. Mall at Marathon, open from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. and the East-West Highway next to Solomon's from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. That's Charlie's, the home of the #1 cheesesteak in the world. 393-3100.
The Health Ministry on Thursday announced that the gene sequencing results from 89 COVID-19 samples collected between January 1 and March 4 showed that 98.9% were Omicron variants and 1.1% the Delta variant. The ministry added that of the Omicron samples, 2.3% were the highly transmissible BA2 variant and 97.7% were the BA1 variant. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie warns that the BA2 variant, also called stealth Omicron, is the dominant variant globally and the type of illness associated with it is similar to the BA1. She further cautions that given it's highly transmissible, there may be an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. Dr. Bisesa Mackenzie is therefore urging the public to practice the infection prevention and control measures, including mask wearing. Opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy, recently described the government's decision to remove the pre-testing requirement for entry into Jamaica as ill-advised and reckless, and asserted that mask wearing should be maintained. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in responding to criticisms, says it was necessary, but warns against irresponsibility.
It has become increasingly difficult to utilize the DRMA as a means of managing the pandemic. It's nothing off you in wearing your mask. There are no fashion statements and nobody looks at you strangely until the scientific evidence is that the pandemic has passed. Up until now, the WHO has not said so. So we ought to maintain a certain level of vigilance, but that vigilance has to be exercised by the individual.
He was once a close United States ally, but has now been extradited to face drug trafficking charges in New York City. Juan Orlando Hernandez was being held at a Special Forces military base in Honduras' capital, Tegucigalpa. He was transferred in the middle of a massive security operation to an Air Force airport, where he was taken in a U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency plane back to the U.S. He's accused of conspiring to smuggle hundreds of tons of drugs to the United States.
Hernandez and his co-conspirators helped push 500,000 kilograms of cocaine into the United States. That's 500 tons of cocaine. Poison that landed in this country on our streets. And as we allege in the indictment, that's exactly what Hernandez wanted. We allege that during a meeting with the co-conspirator, Hernandez declared that he wanted, and I quote, to stuff the drugs right up the noses of the gringos.
Hernandez says he's innocent and that justice will prevail.
Soy inocente.
I'm innocent. I've been submitted unfairly to trial. I want to share some potent words. Injustices are a threat to justice in every place. You know I worked tirelessly with the purpose of recovering peace in Honduras. I gave all my effort to my country. It is regrettable that those who turned Honduras into one of the most violent countries in the world, those villains, now want to be heroes.
Juan Orlando Hernandez was elected president in 2014. While in office, he was considered partner of the U.S. and was lauded for his alleged efforts to fight drug trafficking and illegal migration. His mandate ended earlier this year and was detained 19 days after leaving office. His brother, Tony Hernandez, was sentenced to life in prison in the U.S. on drug trafficking charges. During his brother's trial, prosecutors claimed Mexican drug lord Joaquin Chapo Guzman handed the Hernandez brothers $1 million for the presidential campaign. Lawyers in Honduras say corruption has infiltrated the highest levels of Honduras state, and they need international help to clean it up.
The concentration of power we saw while Hernandez was in office weakened all the institutions, and the country now needs to repair. We need to do lots of structural reforms to improve our judiciary. We have requested help from the UN to help us do this.
Hernandez's extradition is the first time a former president is to be tried on drug trafficking charges in the U.S. Many fear that the possibility of a U.S. trial will deter politicians in the region from colluding with criminal organizations ever again. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
Trinidad and Tobago's under-17 women are currently in vigorous preparation mode as they ready themselves for the CONCACAF Women's Under-17 tournament. Here's more. With less than 48 hours to go for TNT's first match at the Estadio Felix Sanchez in the Dominican Republic against Panama, head coach Jason Spence says he would have loved to have a bit more time with the squad.
We were able to get a couple more weeks in with them, and we believe that we're getting closer to where we would like to be. Really and truly, if I had gotten about 2 more months, I would have felt a little bit more comfortable, but it is what it is, and we're ready to head off.
Coach Spence noted that his main objective at the moment is to ensure the confidence levels of the players are high, which only comes with time on the turf. He conveyed that the correlated styles with other teams in the group could work in TNT's favour.
Well, you know, those 3 teams have similar styles in the way they play, and a lot of our preparation would have been towards that the way they play and being able to nullify what they would bring to us. So in saying that, you know, we would have set up a little bit more defensive just to try to make sure we protect ourselves, and then we open up with the chances that we get.
Foreign-based players Marley Walker and Cecily Wickham will join the squad to add stability to the setup. Meanwhile, midfielder Angel Perot says she is ready for the big task at hand.
Well, our team is mentally and physically prepared. Coach Spence has given us tactics, combinations. We are confident that we are going to put out the work that we have been taught out on the field, as this is our first National U17 Women's Tournament.
Additionally, the recent fight from the senior women has inspired the younger women warriors, and the team is looking forward to the first challenge against Panama on April 23rd and Nicaragua on Monday 25th, with both matches at the Estadio Felix Sanchez in the Dominican Republic. These matches will serve as qualifiers for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, set to kick off in October 2022 in India.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the 4-day forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.